Hi, this is Jason Heires, and this is another version of Off the Cuff. Let me just get my guitar secured there. Alright, and Owen's idea, it was my friend Owen's idea to try doing something with like a theme song. Let me know if you think it's lame or dumb or cool or whatever. That was totally made up on the spot, obviously. Alright, so today I'm going to talk about an album that was released when I was in college. It is Pink Floyd's Momentary Lapse of Reason. Now, this is a newer version. This was remastered not too long ago. Not sure when this was remastered and remixed, but it was a couple of years ago. Now, alright, let's talk a little bit about remasters before I really get into the album itself, okay? There's a lot of things that get remastered, and sometimes remastered really makes a big difference, and sometimes it doesn't really do anything. Usually the very first crop of CDs that came out were pretty poor sounding because they weren't really mixed to work well with digital. So there was a while there where there were a lot of remastered CDs that came out where the sound was significantly better than what the initial CD was, and so those are definitely worth picking up. Now, as time has passed, that gap has kind of narrowed, and the difference between like a remastered CD and just the normal CD have kind of gotten less and less over time. And there are some bands that hop on the remastering bandwagon to, make a little bit of money, or they like to reconfabulate the new albums every couple of years. I'm looking at you, Jefferson Airplane, and the Estate of Jimi Hendrix, where you guys are terrible about, here's a new random collection of stuff, we're going to call it a new Jimi Hendrix album, but it isn't. It's just the same stuff recycled and put together in a slightly different package. Now, Pink Floyd is the Momentary Lapse of Reason is the first album that they made without Roger Waters. Now, there was a big lawsuit where the other three won the rights to the Pink Floyd name. Roger Waters felt that Pink Floyd shouldn't exist if he is part of that. And there's, pretty good arguments either way on that. I mean, especially towards the end, Roger Waters really was the primary songwriter of all the Pink Floyd songs. Part of that was because, from the way that I understand it, is nobody else really wanted to do it. Even for this album, Gilmour doesn't really write any of the lyrics for any of the songs. They're actually written by his wife, named Patti Sampson, who is a poet and a writer, and most of the lyrics for the songs are written by her. Now, this album, though, still has some really good songs. It has Learning to Fly, which is like a really solid song, Dogs of War, which is another really good song, very poignant. One Slip is a really powerful song. Sorrow, which finished it off, has a really cool guitar part, a little intro guitar solo that I can't help but like a lot. The rest of it is good. I mean, it's not like great. This is not like classic Pink Floyd, but this is worth paying attention to. This is the Pink Floyd band that did a really big arena tour in the 90s. And was kind of like the last gasp of Pink Floyd as an entity, as its own separate band. And David Gilmour is still a fantastic guitar player. Nick Mason's an amazing drummer, and Richard Wright is a great keyboard player. So you still have a lot of the elements of Pink Floyd. The only thing that you may not have as much with this version is kind of the heavy cynicism of Roger Waters. But Roger Waters sometimes crosses the line between, being, kind of critical of society and being interesting to just kind of being bitchy. And sometimes Roger Waters definitely crosses into the bitchy category, which is really the biggest weakness of the final cut, which is like all the bitchiest songs of the Wall all put together on its own album, and he got the final cut. And so that's one of the few albums of Pink Floyd that I just don't have. Um, so, but this is worth listening to. This remixed and updated version is worth paying attention to as well. They actually do enhance the sound. Normally, with remasters, when you start getting into the 90s territory, there's not nearly as much they can do to make a master sound better. When they're working with digital sound to begin with, there usually isn't too much more they can do with it. There is things that they can do when they're working with analog sound and then they're transferring it over to digital, because like I said before, a lot of the original translations from analog to digital just weren't very good. So, I know everybody's running back to their record players, and I guess I'm old-fashioned for having CDs, but I will tell you that digital really isn't any worse than analog. You just got to remember that the quality of the experience that you hear has a lot more to do with how you're listening to the music than it does whether or not it's on a CD or record. Most people, when they're listening to digital music, they're listening through it through an iPod or headphones or earbuds or something that's not good. You want to hear the full fidelity of a CD, play it through a real record or play it through a real stereo like you would a record, and you're not going to hear that big a difference. So, I really think that the analog movement is a little bit overblown. I know that the record industry would love everybody to buy analog because it's not as easy to replicate as CDs are. So just kind of keep that in the back of your mind. Anyway, Pink Floyd's a great band. This is a worthy album for continuing the legacy. The remaster is worth paying attention to. And if you're a Gilmore lover, you'll love this album. That'll wrap it up for today. Have a good one, guys. Thank you.